Right. Nearly wrapping up the tier list section of, I guess, every single month. We are here with the best centers tier list. I'll probably do one more, maybe at the Galaxy Opal, something like that you may see tomorrow. And happy 4th of July to anybody that's actually watching us on 4th of July. We're going to get into it pretty soon. If you want to check out any other tier lists that we've done, the point guards, 3 power forwards, the dark matters, the invincibles, the gauntlet spotlight cards, all of those will be linked in the description down below. But before we fully get into the tier list, we have a quick word from the sponsor of today's video. And now that we have that all covered, let's start it off with the guys that are obviously in the hard pass tier, all those stinkers that honestly we don't need in 2K. I don't know why they're still here. And here are all the beautiful souls down there. We have Xavier Tillman's Galaxy Opal, Wilt Chamberlain's Amethyst, Tyson Chandler's Diamond, Opal, Rashard Holmes, Mason Plumlee, Kelly Olynyk, Jakob Poeltl, Daniel Gafford, and Andre Drummond. That's a hard pass tier. And I think a lot of people have noticed the theme in a lot of the hard pass tier of the newer cards, and that is the season rewind reward players are absolute trash. I think there hasn't been a single one that I've even thought about putting up into the still decent tier, but I will say they're slowly getting better. 2K has definitely, I guess, upped the ante with some of them. Like, this Drummond is really good at everything but shooting, but he has a 42 shot 3, so there's really no, I guess, reason to use him. And some of the other guys that we've got recently have been okay. They haven't been terrible, but they've been great. So, and Wilt Chamberlain back to the basket big that just doesn't really do too much for me, and same thing with Tyson Chandler. Like, they're okay cards if you're looking for a budget guy to play that center position, but there's a lot of better options at this point, man. We have demigods dropping every single packs, and these two are not really ones that I recommend having on your team. Next up in the still decent tier, we have Amethyst Wes Unseld. This guy is actually quite, I guess, the good card. I think Wes Unseld cards are always pretty nice. He's got the Kobe Bryant jumper on quick, which is still pretty solid, still pretty fun. It's just an all-around pretty great card, if I'm being honest. Now, I'll say that this is ranked based off of him playing at the center position, not him playing, I guess, overall, if that makes sense. Like, as a power forward, I think this Wes Unseld is probably pretty damn solid to a baby demon, and for budget cards, I think he's a full-on demon, but at the center position, he's a little bit too undersized. 6'7" is not really what I'm looking for, so there's that. Next up is the Pantheon Team USA, the wonderful Tyson Chandler. This guy, I think, has jump shot 18, one of the jumpers that I think everybody just kind of hates, man. Nobody really wants to use jump shot 18, and he just really can't do anything when it comes to shooting or anything like that. Just not even really that great of a midi. Just meh. He was the card that I got from my free pack, so there is that. But overall, there's a lot better options at that center position. Next up is Shaquille O'Neal, and with the amount of Shaq cards, this is just one that I think is an alright one. I mean, he's not bad, but just, I don't know. Again, he's a back to the basket big that I don't think gives you anything other than a bit of a post game, some rebounding, and some interior defense, and that's really about it. So, you know, if that's what you're looking for, you know, go ahead and have some fun with Shaq, but overall, no thank you. Next up is the wonderful Mark Eaton from the Spotlight Sims set. RIP to Mark Eaton. I think he actually passed away sometime this year. I forgot to say it in my Gauntlet Spotlight video, but RIP to Mark Eaton was an absolute Jazz legend, and it sucks that his cards just never really hit in 2K. For some reason, they're okay with giving a lot of taller guys that didn't really shoot or do anything like that good shot threes. Like, we have better Shaqs later in the list, but they just never really feel like doing it from Mark Eaton. I think it's a little bit unfortunate, and it'd be kind of cool to get, but just didn't fall that way this time. Just has pretty terrible dribble 6, and they didn't really give him a shot. So he's good at what he's supposed to be good at, you know, rebounding, defense, that sort of stuff, but the other things, not so much. The next up, we have the out of position Luka Doncic, and I think he's not bad enough to throw down in the, our hard pass tier, but I think he's still not the most amazing center. We'll say that. He's going to be good on the offensive end because he can create a lot of matchup nightmares, but in general, he's definitely not any sort of center that I think you're going to be too excited to use on your team. Next up is the wonderful Julius Randle, the Dark Matter. We'll call it that if you want to, but he's still the Galaxy Opal. They didn't upgrade any of his badges. They can't really do that this year in 2K because of the being able to add badges to cards. So a little tough, but they did upgrade his stats just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. He's still just like his Galaxy Opal. I think they may have changed his jumper a little bit, but he's still way too undersized as a center. So I think power forward, you can kind of make it work, but in general, just I'd stay clear personally of this card. Like, yeah, he can be good, but meh. Next up is Hassan Whiteside, who, I mean, let's be honest, I don't think too many of you guys are actually getting excited to use Hassan Whiteside cards. It's just kind of how it is. Another back to the basket big kind of guy, but I will say this Hassan Whiteside does have a bit of a 3-point shot or mid-range shot, which can be pretty nice, and I think he kind of has a 3 too, somewhere in the 70s. Next up is the wonderful Danny Granger, who has a similar story to our friend Luka Doncic over there, where we have a undersized guy who at the power forward can be pretty okay, but at the center, meh. Offensively can create a lot of nightmares, matchup-wise, which can be fun, but yeah, the reason we use Danny Granger is because he's usually a cheesy, like, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, or point guard, that sort of stuff, not because he's a center, which is kind of tough. I think he's like a reskinned version of James Worthy, which is fun, but as a center, no thank you. Next up is the wonderful Dark Matter Clint Capella, who has set shot 14, a jumper that I know a lot of you guys hate, that almost nobody really gets too excited about. So yeah, there is that. Again, he's more of a traditional big. I think they did, sneak him in gold range just to make him kind of fun, but he's definitely nowhere near a top center, at least in my opinion, like, at all. Just not really a fan of Clint Capella. And last but not least is Chandler Parsons, who was an out-of-position guy that we got. But it's kind of like Batum, where he's a center's primary position, but his secondary position is PG, and that's kind of where you want to run him. Parsons does have a pretty good jumper, I will say that, and he is 6'10", so you can kind of sneak away him being a PG or a center if you wanted to. Again, we're looking more for that matchup nightmare where you got Hall of Fame, blinders, things like that. It can be fun. You can curry and get cheesy with it, but in general, stick to his secondary position of point guard. He is a lot better there. Now we can start off our pretty damn solid tier, which is starting with Robin Lopez, a guard that actually really surprised me with, I guess, how good, or how not bad he was. I guess we'll say it that way, because he's not exactly amazing, but he was nowhere near bad. Robin Lopez has always been a guy who kind of get some rebounds, do things like that, finish in the post, that sort of stuff, but they actually decided to nice Robin Lopez, give him a bit of a shot, and help him out that way. So, I guess I'll show a little bit of love that way. I think he was one of the rarest cards that dropped in some of the sets. And again, they niced him with gold range. Set shot 16 isn't amazing, but it's definitely not too bad. You can get used to it. And annoyed that they gave him the Curry slide, but you know what? Not a bad card in Robin Lopez. Next up is the wonderful Onyeka Okongwu. I remember last year he was actually an absolute demon, man. He was a undersized, I think, like guy that you could run at the small forward, and it was so nice to have him on your lineup because he could kind of do a little bit of everything. And this splash zone promo in general was pretty solid. I'll say that. Okongwu is a very undersized center. He's only 6'9", which is tough, but he can again be cheesy, create some matchup nightmares. And I think overall, when it comes to some of these other undersized guys, he probably is going to be one that I'm going to lean towards a little bit more from my center, but I'm still not the most excited about him. Next up is the wonderful man, Nate Thurmond, another guy who didn't really shoot a lot in his day because I don't think there was a three-point line, but when it comes to being a traditional center, we're getting rebounds, we're playing in the post, defense, that sort of stuff, he is absolutely amazing. And he does have a 75 shot three, I think, with gold range to nice him out a little bit, but he's definitely, I wouldn't say a top-tier center, but can, I guess, give you some good minutes and have some fun with it out there. If you get him from spotlights, I don't recommend running him, but he can be fun. Next up is Montrezl Harrell, a guy who, again, I think really surprised me because, traditionally, centers that don't really have the height to be centers aren't the greatest, but I think as a power forward, this Montrezl Harrell can be pretty nice. They gave him jump shot 78, which is actually a pretty decent jumper. He can curry, he can do all that sort of stuff, and Montrezl Harrell is a demon on defense, especially as like one of those all-around kind of defensive guys, which I love. Just an all-around, I think, pretty good card to play at the center. But again, he is undersized, so beware of that. Next up is Marc Gasol, who, if he didn't have jump shot 18, probably would be absolutely amazing. One of the few, I guess, guys that I view as like a 3-and-D center, which always is pretty useful. But again, you have to get used to the jumper, you have to like it, and sometimes I guess that isn't everybody's favorite thing, to be honest. Next up is the wonderful Jusuf Nurkic. Now, Nurkic is not the greatest big, but I think he's got set shot 8, which is a pretty nice green window, and speed kind of jumper, which, I guess I'm always excited to use at least a little bit, which is pretty fun. And all around, he's actually a pretty decent card to just have on the court for the defense and just all around ability that he can kind of bring there. He's not very much different from his Opal, which is annoying, but he's still a decent card and he was free, so he's got some brownie points there. Next up is Hakeem Olajuwon, just a slightly better version of Marc Gasol. Same jumper, basically same animations all around. They just, I think Hakeem has a little bit better defense, better, that sort of stuff, whereas Gasol is a slightly better shooter. So all around, there are not too many differences, but Hakeem is definitely the better version if, maybe you're stuck between who you want to get. There is that. I would definitely go with Hakeem instead. Next up is the Demon, because of how tall he is. Your gamer's son, this man is a massive dude. 7'7", which is awesome at the center position, and he's got the Brook Lopez base, that bowl jumper, which is absolutely amazing. Really just does everything you could need. He doesn't come with any sort of quick first step or anything like that to be a cheesy kind of like, I guess, tall, cheesy, real quick kind of guy, but if you do add it to him, he can be pretty nice. But I think as is, I would call him pretty damn solid, but if you add all that stuff to Merson, I think Baby Demon or Demon tier is pretty worth it. Next up is DeAndre Jordan, who I think has set shot 17 or 18. I think it's actually the Hakeem Olajuwon jumper, so it'd be 18, I think. But it's actually a pretty solid all-around cord. DeAndre Jordan, you know him for the the defense, the dunking, all that sort of stuff, and he keeps it while gaining the ability to shoot the lights out as well, which is crazy. And I think this card as a budget center is one of the more slept on cards in the game. He's super fun and does everything that I would really need him to do, and it was a super fun gameplay to record. So a super slept on card, at least in my opinion, so far this year, is this wonderful DeAndre Jordan. Next up is Christian Laettner, who's got a jumper that I don't think too many people are really that high on or that excited to like have on their squad, but I picked it up, and it is definitely a slower jumper, but I don't think by any means that it's actually bad. Plus, I mean, he's got everything else you'd want. He's a pretty good on the perimeter. Just, I don't know, I find him as a all-around pretty solid guy to just run at that center position. I'm not saying he's top tier by any means, but he's a lot better than I think people are giving him credit for. Next up is the wonderful Galaxy Opal Chris Bosh, who I don't think is really that much different, I'll say, from his Galaxy Opal. Still has jump shot 29. I'm very quick. Still going to be cheesy. Still going to be fun. An all-around pretty nice guy. Plus, he can curry slide if they gave him the ability to, but they didn't on this card. So, a little bit tough. But I think Bosh is just an all-around pretty damn solid, power forward center, man. He's just a good core all-around, but I do prefer him a bit as a power forward because super tall guys like Berzon is kind of turning into the meta. And last but not least, into our pretty damn solid tier, we have the wonderful Boban. My man Bobby is out here, and he's actually a really fun card to run, man. Boban is always a card that I think a lot of us like, especially when he's early game because of how tall he is. And because he's so tall, on next gen, he can actually be pretty quick. Just like Berzon, you need to add stuff to him, like a quick first step and stuff like that to make him feel a little bit better. But he has no ball handling or speed with ball, so it's pretty tough to make him feel super quick. But he can shoot threes, and he can play defense, and he can dunk on everybody, which is cool. But his set shot, too, isn't the greatest jumper, so sometimes it can be a little bit iffy. But if you use Simbular's Diamond, you know what it's like. Starting off the Baby Demon tier, we have the wonderful Dark Matter Rudy Gobert, who I know a lot of people like, but if I'm being honest, I really don't at all. I just am not a fan of Rudy Gobert's cards in general. Yeah, he's a good defender. Yeah, he's super, skinny, slick, clean, that sort of stuff, so he can play defense really good inside and on the perimeter as well. He's actually got a bit of dunking and shooting and that sort of things. But I just don't really like his jumper, and all around Gobert cards usually fall short for me personally, but I know there's a lot of people who really love this card and, swear by it. There's that. But I never liked his diamond, and I'm not a huge fan of this Dark Matter, but to each their own. He still can be a good card, I guess, in your hands if you like him. Next up is the wonderful Ben Wallace, just one of those guys who I feel like is undersized, but they just juice him up in so many ways that he feels amazing. Like in the beginning of the year, his diamond was one of the best cards to just bring out and run the entire time in the game, which was so fun, and it was insane defensively. Like, this Ben Wallace just has that it factor that makes him play defense out of this world. Plus, his slashing is absolutely insane. It dunks on anybody that he wants to. Has that just beautiful jumper, and he can actually shoot pretty well for a card like Ben Wallace you wouldn't expect to. So all around, actually pretty good all around card, and I think he's definitely Baby Demon. And for some people, maybe he can sneak his way up into the Demon tier, but I'm gonna leave him here for now. Next up is Pau Gasol. My 2010s Laker fanboy stage comes in every single time we get a Pau Gasol card. He's one of my favorite guys on that team. He's got a nice quick jumper. I'm very quick. It's actually not too bad, and he's just one of those super tall, kind of centers that just feel super cheesy. He has I think the shifty dribble style, so he can get around real nice. Can't curry or anything like that, but he's still a super fun guy to run at the center position and just changed up the game a lot. And you'd be surprised with how good this guy actually feels on the court, which is awesome. Next up is, I think, the biggest surprise of the set that we got yesterday in the man, the myth, the legend, Patrick Ewing. This dude was disgusting when I was using him a few days ago on the set. Like, he actually was out of this world. Patrick Ewing can curry slide and do all of that absolutely insane stuff at the center position. He can dunk on everybody. He's still got the defense, the rebounding, all that sort of stuff that you would expect from a Patrick Ewing card. But then it gets insane speed, ball handling, and the ability to curry, which just changes the game for him and makes him feel like one of the cheesiest cards in the game, which I absolutely love. This Patrick Ewing is disgusting. If you haven't tried him yet, for like 15K, you got to, man. He is out of this world. Next up is Marvin Bagley, who is just always one of those guys who I think comes into 2K and is just a budget demon. Ever since he came into the league, remember he had a generation next in like 2K19 and it was godly, and his ping timing is amazing, man. 6'11", he can curry on next gen, and he can just be super cheesy, super fun. They gave him gold range, which is awesome. He's got quick first step, he's got amazing defense all around, the dunking is great, and he's got jump shot 102 on very quick, which is his like signature jumper, and it's always just one of those jumpers that I personally really like and can get down easy. And if it's like that for you too, this Bagley can be a great either bench option or just all around budget guy for you to run. This Splash Zone set in general brought a lot of really good budget cards all around, and you should really try them out. Plus, Bagley can be a demon at the 4. Next up is the man, the myth, the legend, LaMarcus Aldridge, who has the Amari Stoudemire jumper, and one of my personal favorites in the game. I don't really have a reason for it. I've just, since we've been giving cards with the Amari Stoudemire jumper, I've just been able to time it easily. I don't know what it is, but it's just always pretty nice, and I can just get it down like it's nothing. And it makes this LaMarcus Aldridge, to me, one of the best shooters in the game just because of how easy it is to time. Plus, he's got pretty good defense, especially on the perimeter. He's got that big, bulky player build, which always helps on defense. And his finishing, his post-game, all that sort of stuff is absolutely amazing if you like that sort of stuff. So, there's LaMarcus Aldridge. Next up is one of, again, the biggest surprises from the set yesterday in Kevin Love. I said yesterday, but it was Friday. In this Kevin Love, he's got the, obviously, Kevin Love jumper. And let me tell you, it is a lot better than I was expecting it to be. It was a beautiful jumper. He's got the curry slide. He's 6'10", so as a power forward, I think he's one of the top budget options. He's like 6K MT, which is awesome. And he literally was dunking on everybody. He was playing defense on Porzingis and James Wiseman. It was unreal. Like, this Kevin Love is a super slept on budget guy who, if you are lower on MT and need a good power forward or maybe even a backup center, pick up this Kevin Love, give him a shot. I promise you won't regret it. These two can make a duo out there with Ewing and Love. Next up is the wonderful Joel Embiid, who is just the taller, better version of Julius Randle. Has jump shot 47 on very quick. It's the jumper that Joel always has. And Joel Embiid always has just insane interior defense, but he's actually got some good perimeter out there. Amazing shooting, amazing inside game, just all around really good card. And if you like jump shot 47, you're going to love just running around and cheesing with Embiid card. But I will say, I do think he's a better center on current gen because obviously not too many centers can actually curry there. So this Embiid really is going to fit in down there. Next up is the man, the myth, the legend, Arvydas Sabonis, one of my favorite cards every single year in 2K. They know how to make Arvydas Sabonis cards just click, and I absolutely love it. This Arvydas has set shot 8, which is, again, a pretty nice smooth jumper, that Boogie Cousins jumper that you would expect. And they gave him Pro 3 for his behind the backs because he's too tall and too heavy to curry slide. And I love when they finally do it with the cards because it allows him to be super cheesy and nice at 7'2" or 7'3", I think, with like a 7'8" wingspan. It is amazing, and I think on current gen, you should try out this Arvydas Sabonis because he's one of the best options you have for a nice center. So, highly recommend. Highly, highly recommend. Next up is one of my favorite cards ever since they decided to drop him last year, and it has changed up the game for me, man. Dino Raja, 6'11" with a 7'11" wingspan. That is a max wingspan at his height. It's a foot longer. He's got jump shot 4, which I don't love entirely, but it's definitely still pretty solid. And because of that long wingspan, he just rebounds better than you would expect him to, and he's just all around a great guy. Plus, like 15, 20K, super nice budget card that's just so fun to use and just have some fun with. He always is going to be on the top of my list every single time a Dino card comes out because they just play so much better than you would expect them to. I love me some Dino. Next up is Chris Boucher, a card that has actually surprised me with how great he is, man. Jump shot 15 is just a jumper that this year, again, I've been able to find a way to consistently time it every time a Boucher card is dropped, and it's been amazing, actually. Plus, Boucher is basically, in my version, I call him like a mini Giannis. He just feels like that, or mini Bol, or just another version of it reskinned, because he slashes the basket with the exact same, long, skinny wingspan build, dunks everybody the same way. His defense is great because of that build, and he just all around feels like one of the best cards in the game when you really can get his jumper down and that sort of stuff. Chris Boucher is a slept-on demon this year. Nobody gets too excited, but when you use him, you'll understand why I hype him up so much. And last but not least is Bob McAdoo. I think 6'10", 6'11" center, who is just basically, I think he was known as like a point center back in his day, which was awesome. And he plays like that, man. Jump shot 5 on very quick is gorgeous. That Clyde Drexler jumper, and it's going to change up the game for you, man. He dunks on everybody. He plays amazing defense. And I will say, I think aside from the season ultimate, those level 40 rewards, I think this Bob McAdoo may be the best card that we have gotten from the season rewards, because most of them have been pretty trash. And this Bob McAdoo is legitimately an amazing card. Seriously, it is amazing. And now to start off the demon tier, as no surprise should be, we have Invincible Taco Fall. He's a 7'5" guy with a massive, I think like over 8-foot wingspan, who has 99 in every single stat. Jump shot 47 on very quick, and it's just absolutely amazing. He's the better version of Joel Embiid, which is why I had to put Joel Embiid down a tier. You may think Embiid is a baby or a demon, but when you have, I guess, Taco Fall, who's just a better version of him above there, I had to knock Joel down a tier at least, just to make it, to make it okay in my heart. I guess we'll say that. Next up is the wonderful Shaquille O'Neal. They decided that Invincible Shaq was not only going to get 99 every single stat, but they were also going to nice him and give him one of the best jumpers in the game in the Delino Gallinari jumper, and I just think it's absolutely broken. There is no way that they should have allowed it, but it makes this Shaq one of the best centers in the game, no doubt. Next up is obviously the literal best center in the entire game in Muggsy Bogues. Don't let the 5'3" height, I guess, ignore it from the fact that this card is absolutely insane. Has like 60 Hall of Fame badges as a amethyst center. I mean, like, come on. He is super cheap, a super nice budget option, and just all around one of the best cards in the game. And you cannot get around the fact that Muggsy Bogues is just, I mean, he's that dude. I mean, like, come on. Muggsy Bogues every single year, top tier. Next up is the wonderful Mohamed Bamba, a card that I'm not even joking. I was playing a game the day after the Gauntlet Spotlights came out in Unlimited, recording, whatever, and the like, that sort of stuff. And I saw a Dark Matter version of Bamba, and I had to look up when the hell this card dropped, because I just completely missed that it dropped the same day as the Gauntlet Spotlights, so I had no clue. But I think he's got jump shot 109 on very quick, same one as Jaren Jackson Jr. He can curry slide and all that sort of stuff at 7'1" on next gen. He has that super long wingspan, and it's just honestly kind of crazy. If you don't like the Brook Lopez jumper on Bol for whatever reason, this Mo Bamba can be a great replacement. And he's not even that expensive on next gen. It's a great all-around card. Next up is the wonderful Kristaps Porzingis, who is a better version of the Pink Diamond Bol, running at that center position. 7'3", awesome wingspan, Brook Lopez base, literally can do every single thing that you ask him. At the center, at the power forward position, he's a top tier card. Like this Porzingis, absolute demon, and there's no other way around it. Next up is the wonderful Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Jump shot 21 on very quick. It's just gorgeous. One of my favorite jumpers for a big man, if I'm being honest. Plus, he's like, 7'2", amazing wingspan. He has just that big, bulky build. He's got that sky hook, which literally just never misses, and is all around a great card. Every single time we get one of those GOAT Kareems, it turns into one of the, I think, best cards. And I think a lot of people are considering this Kareem to be one of the, top centers on current gen, at least, which is awesome. Now, I don't think he can curry because he only has Pro 1 is behind the back, but he is light enough to do it. So eventually, we may get another Kareem down the line. You never know. That's going to be one of the top cards because 2K loves to drop dupes. And that could be a little bit better. But this Kareem, especially on current gen, is an absolute beast. Next up is James Wiseman, who in my opinion is the best center on current gen. He's got the Steph Curry base, which is absolutely insane at 7'1". He's got all the cheesiest dribble moves that you need, the Curry slide, that sort of stuff. He's got amazing dunking. He plays defense all around and is my starting center and probably will be my starting center for the rest of 2K because he's just seriously that good. This James Wiseman is a beast. If you have the ability to get him, go out of your way to do it because that Curry jumper on a center is something different. Next up is David Robinson, who obviously has the D-Rob base on very quick, and he's an invincible, so he has literally every single stat basically on 99. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. This David Robinson is just an absolute G. He's just amazing. I think he can actually, if I remember correctly, I think he might actually be able to curry slide as well, because he's 235 pounds and has the Pro 2. So yeah, he can curry slide as well, which is unreal. And actually, maybe this David Robinson is the best card on next gen if he gets steady shooter. It's just unreal, man. This D-Rob is crazy. What they're doing with some of these invincibles is honestly kind of unreal. And this D-Rob is great. Plus, I mean, look at that. Look at the arms on this man. He is just scary. Next up is obviously who's been the reigning, I guess, card that you would literally see on every single team on next gen if you play a game of Unlimited. Pink Diamond Mobile. Basically just a slightly worse version of Porzingis. Brook Lopez base, 7'2", can cheese, is amazing, can curry slide, obviously up in there, top tier. And last but not least in our demon tier, we have Dark Matter, Eddie Curry, who's again another one of those top current gen centers because he's got base 38 on very quick. He's a beautiful, amazing jumper that I think a lot of people absolutely love. And I think he's like 7'3", has that big, bulky player build, so his interior defense just feels better than maybe other cards at his height would, which always is going to be great. Just an all-around real good card, real fun card that I think a lot of people can at least, you know, have some fun with and mess around with, especially on current gen. Challenge is relatively easy, just time consuming, so that's pretty cool too. So that's what we have for our centers tier list. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. Make sure if you have any other questions about any of the other positions, so, you know, check out the other tier list that we have. We have point guards through power forwards. Some of the cards won't be on them because they dropped after I dropped the tier list. So just be aware of that. And check out the sponsor of the video and all that wonderful stuff down there in the comment section below. If there's any cards that you think I missed that I should have thrown on the tier list, let me know down in the comment section below. Are there some guys that are too high, some guys that are too low? Let me know those down in the comment section as well. Drop a subscribe. We are very, very close to 10K subscribers. I'm trying to hit by the end of the month. So please, if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.